Hey everybody, welcome back to Barbecue by Biggs. Today we're doing beef plate ribs. We picked up a nice package of beef plate ribs from Costco. You can get them at Costco, sometimes Sam's. Your local butcher has them, but they're just beef plate ribs. We're going to cook them similar to a brisket, about 275 degrees. It's going to take about 6 hours. A simple rub and a lot of smoke. We'll get those rubbed up and we'll get them on the pit. See you in a minute. Hey guys, we were at Costco the other day and found a nice 3-bone plate set of ribs, beef ribs, for around 30 bucks, about 6 pounds worth. They were like $4.99 a pound, so we couldn't pass them up. When you look at them, it just looks like a flat piece of meat with some bones in it. But as you cook these things, that meat draws back, that fat renders, and man, there's nothing better than a good set of beef ribs. So all we're gonna do really for prep is trim some of the harder fat off. This meat has so much fat in it, you really don't want the fat on the outside of it. Some people cook it with it on there because they like it. I prefer a better bark on it, so I'll trim some of the thicker stuff off and just leave a thin layer of fat on there. As we get this trimmed down, if you guys haven't taken the opportunity, hey, click that subscribe button at the bottom. If you like the video at the end, hit that like button. We really appreciate your support. So we'll get the rest of this trimmed up, and then we're just gonna go with a simple rub. And that simple rub consists of coarse ground pepper, salt, and then we'll put garlic, granulated garlic, and granulated onion on the top of this rib and then rub it in. This rib has a membrane on the back of it, but it's not like a pork rib where you have to take the pork rib and pull that membrane off. It has a couple of hanging pieces of fat I'm cutting off here, but you don't have to remove this membrane, and really you want to leave it on there because it holds those ribs together and lets it cook as one. So we'll add the 1-to-1 ratio. I got about a tablespoon of coarse ground pepper and a tablespoon of kosher salt. We'll just add this on here liberally and then rub that in, and then we'll add granulated garlic and granulated onion. Normally I would do the sides first, but this time I did the top to make sure I got a good even coverage on it. I put just a little bit on the back. Really, you don't need any on the back side, on the bone side, because there's really nothing left after you get done. And then I just stood it up on the end with all the extras and kind of tamped that into the sides. So we'll get the rest of this rubbed up, and we'll see you guys out at the smoker. So we got them all rubbed up. We're gonna get them on the pit. All right, we got the pit rolling about 275 degrees. We're gonna get these ribs on here. Here we go. We're gonna go with the membrane side down, the bone side down. It's gonna protect that meat, and it's also gonna let it cook a little bit faster. So we'll get it in there, 275 degrees. We'll leave it in there about 2 hours, and then we'll come back and we'll spritz it. So we'll see you guys in about 2 hours. All right, guys, we're back. It's been about 2 hours. We're gonna spritz the rib with a mixture of water and apple juice. We'll do this for about every 2 hours, so probably about 3 spritz in. It's probably gonna take about 6 hours, 6.5 hours. We're running steady at 275 degrees using post oak wood, and we'll see what we got. All right, 2 hours in. Peek at it here. Oh yeah, it's looking good. See if we can get some color on, get the color on that. Color's good, bark's setting in nice. We'll get it spritzed up and get it back on. So we didn't run water in this pit this time because I really want the moisture on top of it. So we'll spritz it every couple of hours and roll from there. Want to try to keep that top bark moist until the last hour of the cook or so it'll set, but it's looking good. So we'll check on it again in about hour and a half, 2 hours. See you guys then. All right, guys, we're about 4 hours in. We're gonna check in and spritz it one more time and see how the ribs are coming along. Let's check them out. All right, let's check in on them. Oh man, they are looking good. Look at that bark on those. Spritz them up. Spritz them up and we'll probe them right quick, see if, oh yeah, they're probing tender. Probably about another hour or so. The middle of the bones is a little bit tight. But as you can see, the meat's pulling away from the bones and that bark is setting great. So we'll get this last spritz done and looks like about an hour we'll be done. All right, we'll see you in about an hour. All right, we're about 5 hours in on these beef ribs. Thought it would take about 6 to 6.5 hours to cook. They're already probing pretty tender. We're gonna probe them again to make sure and then pull them off, so stay tuned. Oh yeah, those are looking great. Look at the bark on that. Holy Toledo. Get y'all a little closer here so you can see it. Bones pulled back, bark set. We're gonna get these ribs pulled off. We're gonna put them in a pan and then wrap them up and let them rest for about an hour before we cut them. So, all right, we're gonna get these pulled off. Put them in this pan. Get them wrapped up. Let them rest for about an hour and cut into them. So what we'll do, and I'll spritz them one more time to keep it. I'll spritz them one more time to keep it moist. Cover it up and let them rest in the cooler for about an hour. All right, we'll drop them in the cooler and we'll bring you back when we're ready to cut them up. All right, we'll get this towel in the bottom. Wrap the towel in the cooler here. We'll let it sit for about an hour and we'll be ready to go. All right, after 5 hours in the smoke, we're all done. So let's get them on this cutting board, cut into them and see how they look. See how the meat pulled back on the bones. So all the meat piles up on one end, gives you a real cushy, nice, meaty chunk on each one of those bones. When you're cutting it, make sure you cut down straight through the bone here. So we'll cut through. You might hear a little bit of crunch. That's the membrane on the back side of the ribs. It gets a little crunchy, but it pulls right off. Look at the smoke ring on this thing. The nice dark bark. You know, that coarse ground pepper, the salt, the garlic, the onion really put some color on this thing. So if you want a nice meal and an easy smoke, grab you some plate ribs, throw them on the smoker. You won't regret it.